Hey everyone, I'm Ian Douglas, the author of the website techinterview.guide. I do live streams every Sunday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern about topics relevant to interview preparation for the tech industry. I occasionally record longer Q&A sessions, and I've started to break those into smaller videos to post. And there'll be information at the end of this video about how to get in contact with me if you have additional questions. Let's get to it. This was an interesting one that I heard. Why would a company not allow applicants to ask questions during a job interview? Is it a good or bad idea to ask your own questions to the interviewer? So we did a whole panel almost a month ago, was it a month ago, on what kinds of questions to ask and how to ask questions at an interview. So you can definitely check out the YouTube channel for that. I'll drop that link in the chat here. So youtube.com/Ian Douglas. So you can find the whole archive there, and there's a whole video. I had a whole bunch of people. I had Martin on the show. I had Lex Stewart on the show. Oh, shoot, now I'm forgetting all the names. Who else did I have on the show that night? I had Brett Dangerfield on the show. I'm totally blanking on who the fourth person was. I'm sorry. I had two people from HR and two people who were engineering managers. Oh, Emmanuel Mwangi. And so Emmanuel and Brett were my engineering managers, and then I had Martin and Lex from kind of the career coach side of things. And we were talking just about like what kinds of questions that you should ask at the interview. So definitely check that out on YouTube. As far as the first part of this question, like why would a company not allow applicants to ask questions during an interview? I mean, there is a time factor to be aware of there. Like if you know, you're doing like a 1 hour interview slot, and you know they do a couple of minutes of introduction, and then they start on some kind of code challenge, and the code challenge goes really, really long. You know, that person's got other things to do. They may need to, you know, say, okay, well, you know, you've got all these back-to-back like 1 hour interviews, but they also want to make sure like you've got a break to go to the bathroom or something like that. And so they don't want to go like back to back to back to back and not give you a break. And so it might just be that they ran out of time for you to ask questions. But I would say like a company should never specifically say like you are not allowed to ask us questions. And if you try to ask a question, if they kind of blow it off and say like, no, we're not gonna address those questions, that's actually a pretty big flag for me. Any company should be very open to having discussion. I've said on the stream a bunch of times, and I stand by this, that an interview should be conversation, not interrogation. It should never just be a one-way thing where they're asking you a question and you're giving them an answer. So I would say if a company is ever refusing to answer questions or just not giving you the space to ask questions, that could be a flag of maybe you don't want to work there. I would say maybe ask ahead of time, like before you even go to the interview, and just say, hey, I've got some questions that I'd love to ask as part of the process. Will there be time for that as part of the interview? And they'll let you know. And they may say, well, you know what, you're going to meet with Ian for that 1 hour block. Ian may not have time to answer any questions for you, but we'll make sure that you can meet with somebody after that to make sure that your answers or your questions get answered. Like any good company should be respectful of your time and the fact that you have questions. Now, they're not going to sit there for like hours and hours and hours and answer tons of questions for you because they've got other things to do too. So I would say like try to limit it to the number of questions that you want to ask and make sure that you're asking appropriate questions of the right people. Like you wouldn't ask somebody in HR about the engineering process, and you wouldn't ask, you know, somebody in engineering something that would be more appropriate for the HR team. So make sure that who you're talking to, that you have appropriate questions for them. And as an example there, like if you're talking to somebody in HR and you've got a question about engineering, then you could say like, hey, I appreciate you taking the time. These are the questions that I want to go over. By the way, is there also a time that I could speak to somebody on the engineering team? Because I've got some specific questions I'd like answered about the engineering side of things as well. And hopefully they'll make that happen. They may do like a follow-up call or just say, well, why don't you email us those questions and we'll pass those on and hopefully we'll get you an answer or something. Like have a conversation about it. But they should not actively stop you from asking questions during the interview. I think that that's a huge flag. Hey, thanks for watching. I love helping people out with interview prep, and I hope this video helped you in some way. If you found this Q&A useful, please consider subscribing. You can follow me on Twitch as well for the live stream twice a week. Check out techinterview.guide/streaming for more information. I also have a daily email series that you can subscribe to on the website. There are never any ads, and when you finish the series, I scrub your information out of my database permanently. Finally, if you have a question that you'd like answered on the stream, you can find my contact info on techinterview.guide. I prefer LinkedIn or email. If you leave your question in a YouTube comment, it might take me longer to find it, but I'll see you next time.